I said I was with family, but the black man picked me up. Disclaimer. This content is meant only for a mature audience. Viewer discretion is advised. I wasn't planning on sharing this, but sometimes secrets feel heavier when you carry them alone. That night started with the simplest excuse. A quick message I sent, saying I was with family. It sounded harmless, believable, and easy enough to cover my tracks. But deep down I knew it was more than just a small lie. I didn't expect the evening to unfold the way it did. And I certainly didn't expect him to show up when I needed a way out. There's something about moments we don't plan. They catch us off guard, leave us exposed, and force us to question what we really want. That night was exactly like that. I thought I had everything under control, that nobody would find out. But then the black man I had crossed paths with before appeared. And with one decision, my entire evening shifted. He picked me up, both literally and in ways I wasn't ready to admit. His presence was bold, commanding, and impossible to ignore, making me realize my lie had opened a door I wasn't sure I could close again. The ride felt longer than it was. My heart kept racing, not just from fear of being caught, but from the energy between us that I couldn't deny. The streets outside blurred, but every glance he gave me sharpened the tension in the air. I told myself it was wrong, that I should have stayed where I said I was, but there was no turning back. That choice, that moment, would change everything about how I saw myself, and how I understood what it meant to be truly vulnerable. I want you to think about this. Have you ever told a lie so small that it seemed harmless, only to realize later it could change the course of your night, maybe even your life? What would you have done if you were in my place? Gone through with the lie, or confessed before it was too late? Let me know in the comments, and maybe even vote in the poll I've added. Your thoughts matter, because stories like this aren't just mine. They reflect the choices we all wrestle with. And just when I thought I could calm my racing thoughts, something unexpected happened in that car. The kind of thing that makes you wonder if the lie was ever really about protecting yourself, or if it was about chasing something you didn't dare admit out loud. But that's where I'll leave you for now. The rest of what happened, well, it's not something I can explain in just one breath. The hum of the car engine was steady, almost too steady, as if it wanted to mask the storm that was building inside me. I kept glancing out of the window, pretending to be calm, but the truth was my chest felt tight. The city lights flickered past us, casting quick shadows on his face, and every time I looked at him, I wondered if he could see right through me. He didn't ask where my family was, didn't press me on the excuse I had given earlier, but his silence carried more weight than any question could. I had known him for a while, not closely, but enough to recognize the confidence he carried. The kind of man who walked into a room and people noticed without him saying a word. He wasn't someone who blended into the background. That night, when he picked me up, I realized I didn't really know why I had trusted him so easily. Maybe it was the way he carried himself, maybe it was how he made me feel seen, or maybe it was because a part of me was tired of pretending. I thought back to the moment I sent that message, telling them I was with family. It wasn't the first time I had bent the truth, but this one felt different, bigger. And now, sitting in his car, I couldn't help but wonder what he thought of me. Did he know I was lying? Did he sense the conflict boiling inside me? The longer we drove, the more it felt like he did. "Everything okay?" he finally asked, his voice calm but firm. I froze for a second, debating how much to say. "Yeah, I'm fine," I replied quickly, but even I didn't believe myself. He didn't push, just gave me a look that said he knew more than I wanted to admit. The truth was, my life had been weighed down by routine and expectations. People believed I was strong, responsible, the one who always did the right thing. But what nobody knew was how exhausting it was to keep that mask on every single day. And maybe that's why, in that moment, being with him felt like a crack in the mask. A dangerous crack, but one I didn't want to cover up. The ride seemed endless, and yet I didn't want it to end. Every street we turned down, every pause at a red light, only stretched the tension further. I didn't know where this night would lead, but I did know one thing. Whatever was waiting for me wasn't something I could walk away from easily. What would you have done in my place? Would you have gotten in the car? Or would you have stayed back and kept the lie simple? Tell me in the comments. I'm curious to know. Because as much as I tried to steady myself, I had no idea what was coming next. And the truth? I wasn't sure if I was ready. The car slowed as we reached a quieter stretch of road, far from the noise of the city. The silence between us grew heavier, like every unspoken word was pressing down on my chest. I could feel the weight of my lie more than ever now. I told them I was with family, but here I was with him heading into a night I couldn't predict. That was the heart of the conflict. I had stepped into something I wasn't prepared to control. I glanced at him again, trying to read his face. His expression was calm, almost unreadable, but there was something in the way he kept his focus on the road. It wasn't just about giving me a ride. It felt deeper, like he knew there was more going on beneath my surface. And maybe that's what unsettled me most. He seemed to notice what others never did. The truth was, my life had been split in too long before this night. On one side, the world I showed everyone, stable, predictable, built on family ties and responsibilities. On the other, a hidden restlessness, a voice that whispered about the parts of me that felt trapped. He represented that second world, the one I tried so hard to ignore but couldn't escape. I thought about all the times I had brushed him off before, convincing myself it was nothing. But there was always an energy when he was near, something unspoken. And now, with me sitting beside him, the unspoken was louder than ever. Was it fate? Or was it me making a choice I couldn't take back? He finally broke the silence. You don't seem like someone who runs from the truth. His words cut sharper than I expected, and for a moment I couldn't answer. I wanted to argue, to tell him he was wrong, but deep down I knew he was right. I was running not just tonight but for a long time. What unsettled me even more was the way he looked at me. Not with judgment but with curiosity. Like he wanted to understand what I was hiding. That's where the tension truly lived. Because the more he looked, the more I feared he might see the cracks I had worked so hard to cover. And then, just as my thoughts tangled into knots, he turned down a street I didn't recognize. My pulse quickened. Where was he taking me? Why here? I didn't ask aloud, but the question echoed inside me louder than anything. This is where I want to ask you, what do you think his intentions are? Do you believe he's testing me? Or is he about to reveal something I don't expect? Drop your thoughts in the comments and share your predictions. Because as much as I wanted answers, I wasn't ready for the ones I might get. And the night was only just beginning. The unfamiliar street grew darker as the car rolled to a stop. My heart thudded against my ribs, louder than the engine winding down. I sat there frozen, unsure whether to ask why we were here or stay silent and wait for him to explain. He didn't say anything right away, and that silence made the air between us feel even heavier. I could sense we were on the edge of something, and every instinct told me that whatever came next would change everything. He leaned back in his seat for a moment, his eyes fixed on me instead of the road ahead. There was something unsettling in the way he studied me, as if he was searching for answers I wasn't ready to give. I shifted uncomfortably, trying to hold onto the calm expression I'd been wearing all night. But deep down I knew I was unraveling. You know you can't keep lying forever, he said, his voice low but steady. The words cut through me, sharper than any accusation. It wasn't just about tonight. It was about everything I had been hiding, everything I thought I had tucked away neatly behind that single message about being with family. His words made it clear he wasn't fooled, and maybe that was what scared me most. I wanted to reply, but my throat tightened. I didn't know if I should defend myself, admit the truth, or just stay quiet. And then, before I could decide, he stepped out of the car and motioned for me to follow. My palms grew damp as I unbuckled the seatbelt. Part of me wanted to run, to go back, to undo everything. But another part, the louder part, urged me to see this through no matter the risk. The night air was cool, almost chilling, as we walked down a narrow path lit by a single flickering streetlight. Every step felt heavier, like I was being pulled into a story I hadn't meant to write. The questions in my head piled higher. Why here? Why now? Why me? But none of them left my lips. He stopped suddenly and turned to face me. His expression was unreadable, but his eyes carried something I couldn't ignore. A mix of challenge and warning, as though he was about to reveal something that would turn everything upside down. That moment stretched endlessly, and I realized I was holding my breath. I didn't know if I was about to hear the truth I had been running from, or if this was the point where everything I thought I understood would collapse. What do you think is waiting for me in that moment? Is he about to expose the lie I've been hiding, or pull me into a secret of his own? Share your thoughts in the comments, because the next step could change everything. His eyes locked onto mine, and before I could gather the courage to speak, he said something that made the ground beneath me shift. You think you're the only one hiding something tonight? His tone was calm, but there was an edge in it that unsettled me. For a moment I forgot about my own lie, because the way he said it suggested that whatever secret he carried was far bigger than mine. The flickering light above us buzzed faintly, throwing shadows across his face. I couldn't tell if he meant to scare me or prepare me, but the weight of his words left me frozen. He wasn't just a man who picked me up after I lied about being with family. He was someone who carried his own truth, something dangerous, something he hadn't shared with anyone. The tension between us wasn't just about me anymore. It was about him too. What do you mean? I asked, though my voice barely came out as more than a whisper. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he took a step closer, lowering his voice as though someone else might be listening. Let's just say you're not the only one living two lives. The silence that followed was louder than any noise. My mind raced with possibilities. Was he warning me? Confessing? Or testing me to see how much I could handle? Every scenario that flashed through my head only raised more questions than answers. I suddenly realized how little I really knew about him. Sure, I had felt his presence before, had noticed the way he carried himself, but I never stopped to wonder what shadows followed him. And now, standing here in the middle of a quiet street, it felt like I was being pulled into a story much larger than my own. The conflict I thought was mine alone, the lie I told, the risk of being caught, now felt like just one piece of a puzzle. He was holding something back, something that could change the direction of the night entirely. I looked at him, my thoughts tangled. Why me? I asked, desperate to understand why he chose to involve me in this moment. His expression shifted, almost softening, but then hardening again just as quickly. Because you already crossed the line tonight. And once you cross it, there's no going back. Those words made my stomach twist. I thought I knew what was at stake, but now it seemed the danger wasn't just about being exposed. It was about what I might discover standing next to him. So here's my question for you. What do you think his secret really is? Is it something that connects to me in ways I can't see yet? Or is he dragging me into a mess that has nothing to do with my lie? Share your predictions in the comments because the truth is about to surface, and I'm not sure either of us is ready for it. The words lingered in the air, heavier than the night itself. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. I felt the weight of my own lie pressing down, but his confession about living two lives made me realize I wasn't alone in carrying secrets. Finally, he exhaled and told me the truth. He had been keeping distance from people for a reason. The strength I admired in him came from surviving battles no one knew about. He wasn't trying to expose me. He was trying to warn me that lies, no matter how small, eventually catch up. Hearing that stripped away my defenses. I admitted to him what I hadn't dared say out loud, that I wasn't with family, that I was tired of pretending, tired of being the dependable one while inside I felt restless and unseen. For the first time, I let the words spill out without worrying how they sounded. He listened quietly, his expression steady, and when I finished he simply said, "You don't have to run from yourself anymore." That sentence stayed with me. It wasn't about him picking me up or even the lie I told. It was about the deeper truth I had been hiding, that I had lost touch with who I really was. Standing there in the quiet street, I realized the night wasn't a mistake but a wake-up call. We didn't need to say more after that. He walked me back to the car, and the ride home felt lighter, even though nothing about my life was truly simple. The difference was that I wasn't lying to myself anymore. I knew changes had to be made. I couldn't keep balancing two worlds without losing myself completely. When I finally stepped out of the car, I turned back to thank him. He gave me a look that wasn't about judgment or expectation but understanding. And that was enough. I knew our paths might cross again, but whether they did or not, the night had already left its mark. Looking back now, I see it clearly. The biggest danger wasn't being caught in a lie, it was letting the lie define me. That night forced me to confront myself in a way I never had before, and it changed how I moved forward. So, what do you think? Was this a mistake that could have been avoided, or a turning point I needed to face? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and tell me if you'd like to see a sequel to this story. Your feedback shapes what comes next, and maybe together we can explore where this journey really leads. Would you like me to create a short sequel hook for this story? Something that hints at another encounter or unresolved thread to keep your viewers coming back. The quiet ride back felt like the closing of a circle. The tension that had followed me all night slowly gave way to a strange calm, though my thoughts were still restless. I stared out the window at the passing lights, realizing how much had shifted in just a few hours. I had gone from hiding behind a small lie about being with family to standing face to face with truths I could no longer avoid. It wasn't just about what I told others. It was about what I had been avoiding inside myself. When he finally pulled up near my place, the silence between us wasn't heavy anymore. It carried something different, something almost grounding. I turned to thank him, but before I could say anything, he spoke first. "Don't waste this moment," he said quietly. "You got a chance to see yourself clearly tonight. Most people don't." His words weren't dramatic, but they sank deep. I nodded, not because I fully understood what lay ahead, but because I knew he was right. I couldn't keep moving through life wearing masks, pretending to be perfect, dependable, unshakable. It had drained me more than I ever admitted. The lie I told that night had forced me into a situation that cracked everything open. Strangely, I was grateful for it. As I stepped out of the car, I realized he hadn't just picked me up in a literal sense. He had lifted something off my shoulders that I didn't even realize I was carrying. The street was quiet, the night air cool, and for the first time in a long while I felt a little lighter. Later, when I lay in bed, the weight of the night settled into perspective. The conflict wasn't really about him or the risk of being caught in a lie. It was about me facing the truth I had been running from. We all carry secrets, some small, some heavy. But the real danger comes when those secrets keep us from being honest with ourselves. This story isn't about perfect endings or clear answers. It's about those moments when life forces us to stop and choose who we want to be moving forward. I chose honesty that night, and though it scared me, it also freed me. What about you? Have you ever found yourself trapped in a lie that ended up teaching you something bigger about yourself? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear how you see this ending. And tell me, would you like a sequel that dives into what happened after this night? Your feedback keeps these stories alive and helps me know where to take you next.